everybody, Caleb here, and today I've got the first of 3 guilds I have to work on. They're not all from the same person, but it was kind of funny that I got 3 guilds right about the same time. This is the newest guild and the one that's in the worst shape. This is from 1994 or 95, it might say on the inside. This is from 1994. This was the year before Fender bought Guild. So this is, the last year that Guild was on its own. This was made in the U.S. It's a JF4-12 NT. NT would be natural, and the 12 would be 12 string. It's got some problems around the neck area. I'm not real sure what the actual problem is, but I can see it's caused. It's caused this whole section to kind of move. So I think the very first thing we're going to do is get all these strings off of here. I think we have 2 broken ones, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut them, and we'll get to work on disassembling this thing. So I was just finishing up pulling these pins out, and I was given this Music Nomad pin puller, and it actually works really well for these 12 strings because I can pull both of them at the same time. The way this works, it's got a longer insert so I can grab more pins. I'm putting those all in order. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't matter. Go ahead and take the saddle out too so I won't lose it. I'll set that whole thing aside. I'm just doing some checks on the bridge here. It almost looks like it may be coming loose. I don't think it's gonna be that bad, but there's definitely a gap around the back. Here's a piece of paper. It's getting really close to coming loose. It's not super far in there. That may be something we want to address. That's kind of unrelated in regards to the big problem here. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see really what's going on here. I think you can really see here. It's busted on both sides of the fretboard extension at the sound hole. And you can see it's broken up here as well. It's the same on the other side. I just have to kind of pick it up so you can see it. I still can't get it up. Anyways, you can see it's kind of broken there. It has broken the binding a little bit. Around here, it's done the same thing around the sound hole. Now that there's no tension on it, I'm wondering if it won't move. It doesn't seem like it. I'm gonna go ahead and maybe try and stick a camera on the inside and look at the bracing up in this area and see what we can learn from that. I'll be trying that here shortly. I'll get set up to do that, and then we'll look on the inside there. So you can probably see inside there now. I've got my phone camera inside the guitar. I'm kind of working my way across. You can see the crack there. As I work my way up, you can see this block has a weird, neck block has a kind of a weird extension piece. I've never seen one quite like this, where it's just at the top. It kind of locks into that neck block there. You can see there are 2 different pieces. There's a crack, or a seam, moreover, at what I would consider the front of the neck block where this top piece meets. You can also see that crack runs all the way up to that neck block. There's a fairly large, looks like reinforcement for the sound hole around here. You can see the grain is running counter to the top. Check the other side. I can't see the crack on this side. It's further in, I think. Yeah, you can see it just a little bit right there where the that block ends, and right before that brace starts, there's that crack. Lines up with the one at the sound hole. I'm not real sure what here is loose. I may try actually moving some stuff here, putting some pressure on this, seeing if that does something. I can see I've got a lot of light coming through on the crack itself. Right along here. So that crack is very open. If I were to guess, I would say that this block, this extra extension thing that I'm not used to, is a part of the neck. Maybe it holds the truss rod in, and the block that's there standard, it just locks into. That notch is kind of strange. I've never seen a notch quite like that. I'm not sure if I can get a good way to see it. So it's been a big recording gap on this guild, this 12 string. I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to do here. I think what I'm going to have to do is basically cut the back off. I've got to get at this from the inside to see really what's going on, and I really can't get to it from the front. I think that's what's going to have to be best, and the top is bound, the back is not, so I'm thinking the back coming off is probably the best plan of action. When I flip it over, I think I'm going to end up cutting this off for the most part. I could, obviously try to work a tool in under the seam, but it's not loose in any place. So I really think the only way that I'm going to get this done is if I actually cut it off. I'm going to end up trying to use this razor saw. It's got a tiny, tiny, tiny thin kerf, so what I actually remove won't be much. So I think we can do this. I hope it turns out well. I'm going to have a funky little setup to get this going. I'll try to show you a little bit what I can, and then try to get this done. The faster I get this done, the less money I spend on this, and that's really what I'm trying to get done here. So I've got this all set up here. This little block I should be able to set basically on the back, and that'll keep my my blade the same distance from the top, which is the back. So I should get a nice even cut, same depth all the way around as I just kind of cut across. And I should be able to cut this off now reasonably well. This is going to take quite a bit of time. So I'm going to have to get started here. I've been working on this for quite a while, and it's starting to come loose. You can probably see here. I'm all the way up to about here. It's really coming loose, and I can already see the sides are starting to bulge out. They go back in, which is fine, but that's always a fun thing to deal with. And by always, I mean never. I still can't really see what's going on up there at the neck yet. It's hidden by that top brace that runs like this on the top, not on the back. There's no braces on the back. But it's coming along probably as well as I could ask for. It's not, super, super easy because no part of it is loose. I'm basically having to break it open, but that's the best option I've got. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going with this. I just want to do a little update. It's not real interesting to show, so I'm going to go ahead and keep going, but we're not too far off now. So about 2 o'clock this morning, I got this to come off of here. Shortly before I went to bed. We're now coming back to it, so I can actually see on the inside. It came off fairly well. I don't think I could ask for any better, really. Looking at this inside, I can so much easier see what's going on here. I'll try to tilt this where you can see it. You can kind of see in there now. So it's got this extra block here, which seems to slide in left to right. There's some extra glue squeeze out that's covering up the crack that I want to see. I can see these cracks here, and they run underneath this brace, which makes me think it's got to be unstuck underneath that. This sound hole reinforcement is very large, home plate looking. It's got to be loose underneath that as well. But the thing is, it doesn't really seem like it, which is just bizarre to me. I guess it is, but not really. Because it has to be. It has to be loose. Otherwise, it wouldn't allow the top to move. Yeah, it is. At least the sound hole reinforcement is. The thing, though, is it seems to stop at that brace, which makes no sense. Unless it's been repaired, and it doesn't look like it. How could this brace be stuck to this piece of the top if it's moved? I would think the same thing about the neck block. I'm gonna have to break out that piece of glue that's stuck in there so I can really see. I guess I'm gonna have to do some real looking at this thing, figure out what's really wrong here. Unfortunately, that's gonna be turn the camera off so I can move it around and really get a look at it. I'll bring you back once I know where I'm going from here, I guess. So I've been looking at this for a while, and I ended up taking the sound hole reinforcement off. You can see home plates off of there. It came off just about as well as I could have hoped for such a thin piece of wood. I needed to get that off so I could really see how loose this brace is. And even on top of that, the sound hole reinforcement had to have been loose all the way across here. Because this has moved, which means it was no longer stuck to the sound hole reinforcement, which also means it's no longer stuck to this brace. It's just not possible. And as you can see, it's totally loose. It's actually loose beyond the broken part. So, I believe, because of how loose it is, that leads me to wanting to just take that brace off. I'm gonna try my best to get this off here nice and clean. I think what we're gonna end up doing is some heat and a little bit of moisture to try to kind of work that off of there. I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal, but I'll try to do it where you can see it and take you along for it. But I think that's gonna have to come off because it's loose all the way out to like here, not at the brake, which is here. I don't know how well you can see it, but the brake is actually here, but it's loose way further than that. I think the best thing to do is for me to take it off, make sure it's clean, get good glue contact once we've moved this back into place, and then stick it back down. Now, this piece here is actually still stuck to the top, the part that's broken. It is loose from the rest of the top. I know that because there was some extra glue in here I was scraping off, and I could see this part flex and this part stay still. So I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do about that yet. We'll decide a little bit more when we get a little bit closer to it. It's been, it's pretty much one thing after another. But, you know, we'll fix it as we go, get everything glued back in tight when we're done, and it should be just as good as new. now that that is out, and it was loose from at least here to here, you can see it. It wasn't making contact. I'm gonna give some time to dry this off. I'll probably get an air gun out, the heat gun, turn it on really, really low. Basically just blow this dry. Make sure we're totally dry. I used a little bit of moisture to try to soften the glue. I'm pretty happy with the way this came out. Actually, it's not terrible. About as good as you could get, really. So I'll get set up for whatever we're doing next, and we'll do it next. So after pulling that top brace out, I've actually been able to get at the neck block. Before, there just wasn't enough room in here, and now what I'm seeing is it's totally loose on the sides. I can see that's hard to see on camera. I'll try to get this around where I can show it, which I believe is there. So you can see the crack. You can see the crack as it runs up, and then the neck block has come totally loose from the major portion of the top. It's still attached to the part that's broken underneath the fretboard, but it is not attached to the rest of the top. And I'm just sticking it in on the other side to confirm, and sure enough, that's how it is. This has been a lot of disassembly to get to this point. I recognize that, and that's rather unfortunate. But it really, really needed to happen so I could actually get to the joints that need glued and figure out how I'm going to move this back. So now that I know that it's loose, I should be able to move it. There should be nothing else holding it even in the slightest bit, because I've removed anything that would be covering up these cracks. So now very carefully I need to figure out how I'm going to push this section back that way. I just wanted to kind of catch this up here. I'm probably going to go back to looking at this off camera. There's no point in me trying to solve problems on camera. So I'll go back to problem solving.